Welcome. My name is Abraham Verghese. I'm a professor of medicine. I'm the vice chair of the Department of Medicine, and it's a real treat to see so many of you here, and welcome. I am the founder and director of a center called Presence. We are an interdisciplinary center taking advantage of what I think is the biggest asset of Stanford, the fact that all 7 schools are on the same campus, not across the freeway, not across the state, and right here, and that has been a tremendous boon to our work and our research. Our biggest interest is in the human side of technology, or the effects of technology on humans. Very much interested in artificial intelligence. We're particularly interested in the patient-physician dyad, wellness issues with physicians, and also medical error that comes about from not being attentive to the personhood of the patient, to the story of the patient. So it's a wonderful thing for us to be convening this meeting. I want to introduce to you the executive director of Presence, who really is the force behind this, just a remarkable person of great vision, and that is Sonu Thadani. Most of you who are on the committees know her well, and you will get to meet her. She has a great gift for convening, and this event clearly is, I think, the culmination of what she's done with Presence, but by no means the last thing I think she will be doing for us. So really proud of you, Sonu, and thank you for your leadership with that. I also want to compliment the Continuing Medical Education Department. In their memory and mind, this is the largest event that Continuing Medical Education has ever had, with 700 registrants. So we're really thrilled with the new vision and leadership of the Continuing Medical Education Department. That has just been amazing. We have people from 11 countries, everywhere from Bolivia, Brazil, UK, Canada, India, Germany, Netherlands. We have about 200 people from the 7 schools on campus, which really makes me feel very proud, because that is precisely the intent of Presence. And then the rest are from all over industry, academia, our hospitals, and so on. So again, I'm very proud to welcome you to this conference. My job is really simple. I get to introduce a few people, and so I will do that and get out of the way. The first person I have the great pleasure of introducing is our Dean, Lloyd Minor. Lloyd is both a scientist, a groundbreaking surgeon, as well as an academic leader. His title here is the Carl and Elizabeth Naumann Dean of the Stanford University School of Medicine. He's been here since 2012, and he oversees the school, the hospital, Stanford Healthcare, and the Stanford Children's Health and Lucile Packard Children's Hospital Alliance. He's also tremendously interested in precision health, which you're going to hear a little bit about, but most of all, he's been a great supporter of Presence, and so please help me welcome my Dean, Lloyd Minor.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Abraham. Good morning, everyone. For those of you who are coming to Stanford for the first time or coming back for a repeat visit, welcome. We're delighted that you're here today. We hope that this conference gives you a flavor of the exciting activities here at Stanford, and we always welcome your feedback. You know, today's a bit cloudy, but the cloudiness doesn't in any way really reflect the optimism that we have about the future. Most days are sunny around here, and every day is sunny when it comes to having new ideas and really driving the future. And I think the work that Abraham, Sonu, and their colleagues in Presence, and the work that they and others have done in putting together this conference today really reflects and brings together that optimism about the future and the opportunities of artificial intelligence and related disciplines to really transform health and healthcare delivery. And those are some of the things that you'll be hearing about today, and hopefully you'll find useful as you go back to your home environments and look at the impact that you and your colleagues can have on health and healthcare. First, these are my disclosures of industry relationships. And I just wanted to say a few brief words about our vision for precision health that Abraham mentioned in his introduction. Now, for far too long, healthcare, particularly in the United States, has really been sick care. It's about taking care of, treating, and attempting to cure disease after the fact. But the same enablers that have enabled us in so many cases to be more effective in providing sick care, those enablers of data science, of genetics, the vast trove of data and information coming from fundamental discovery-based research today, those enablers can also be applied to predict and prevent disease. We've heard a lot has been written about precision medicine, and precision medicine is about taking data science, genetics, and other related fields in order to individualize or personalize the treatment of severe acute diseases like cancer and heart disease. And today, the treatment of breast cancer, to cite just one example, is no longer a one-size-fits-all treatment. It's a treatment very much tailored based upon the genetic and cellular characteristics of the tumor, based upon the other related health factors in the patient who has the tumor. And as a result of this science-enabled personalization of therapy, the outcomes of breast cancer treatment are far better than they were 2 decades, even a decade ago. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could take those enablers and also make the practice of keeping us healthy a lot more personalized and individualized? If we think about the goals of precision medicine as being about sick care, then we can think about the goals of precision health as being about health care. How can we keep ourselves healthy? And for those of us involved in delivery of care, how can we help our patients to maintain health and well-being for as long as possible? And the 3 pillars of this initiative in precision health are predict, prevent, and cure, precisely. But really, and I have to really credit, and he's sitting on the front row, Bob Harrington, who a couple of years ago led a committee of faculty and others at Stanford Medicine to come up with this articulated and integrated vision for what precision health is all about. And I just want to say a few words about each of those 3 components of predict, prevent, and cure, and how each of them relates to artificial intelligence. Under the heading of predict, there's a revolution today in diagnostics. You don't read about it or hear about it as much as we do in therapeutics, and it's still a tough business model in many cases for diagnostics, but the science and the technology are incredible. Our ability to detect a tiny, tiny signal in the midst of enormous noise is much better than it was just a few years ago because of many of the techniques and methods that you'll be discussing today in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then we can apply that in a predictive and proactive way such that it's not unreasonable to think that within a few years there will be simple screening tests, either blood-based tests or tests based upon using inducer molecules that would cause even a minute tumor to make a synthetic biomarker that then could be detected in urine or a blood sample. It's not unreasonable to think that that will become commonplace in health screening in the future. And then it's not unreasonable to think that one step further than that, all of this can start operating in the background. As Sam Gambier, our chair of radiology, likes to point out, when we fly on a jet plane these days, those engines are being monitored hundreds of times a minute based upon their performance. Now, ordinarily, that's completely out of the awareness of the pilot. But if there's a problem, the pilot's made aware of it, and the routine maintenance of the jet engines is performed based upon data that's coming in from the engines and it's being analyzed constantly. We should be able to do the same thing for human health. So that's predict. Under prevent, the revolution in digital health is already having profound impact. And of course, that revolution is very much dependent upon AI and data science. We know there's still issues with wearables in that a lot of the times they don't get worn, but they're getting better and better. The information is getting more actionable, and the ability for them to operate in the background, just as the monitors on the jet engines operate in the background, The ability for wearables to operate in the background continues to grow and grow. And I think that digital health applications, both consumer-facing devices and technologies, as well as AI machine learning-enabled analytics, are going to have an even more significant impact on health and healthcare delivery in the years to come than they've had in the past. And of course, one of the places, probably the place where that innovation is taking place the most and where it's getting into practice the earliest, is right here in Stanford and in our community around us in Silicon Valley. Well, even with prediction and prevention, we know that we're not going to be able to predict or prevent every disease. And we're still going to need to have, I think fortunately, we're still going to need to have tertiary quaternary care delivery systems like we are at Stanford. And increasingly, our ability to cure diseases is growing. Nowhere is this better represented than in cancer, where the advances in immunotherapy over the past 7 to 10 years have been nothing short of breathtaking. We see it every day in reports of patients. For those of us that are working in environments where advanced immunotherapy is being used, we see it in the interactions with our patients. And yet we know that immunotherapy doesn't work for every patient, even within a single histological tumor type, and that there are side effects and long-term associated complications with immunotherapy. So a lot of work to be done, but again, this is an area where AI, machine learning, has an impact, because how do we determine up front who is and who isn't going to benefit from immunotherapy? And by virtue of making that determination, how can we better design immunotherapy that has a broader impact in the future? We've prepared a book that describes the vision for precision health. It'll be coming out in March of next year. It really is a story about the amazing people at Stanford and the work that they're doing every day, as well as a story of some of the innovations that are coming out of Silicon Valley related to the vision for precision health. And finally, I just want to return to one other point about precision health, and in particular, this conference today, of how AI offers the opportunity to transform health and healthcare delivery. And that is this fact that we're still doing such a poor job of addressing in the United States. And that is that 70%, roughly 70% of health and well-being is determined by social, behavioral, and environmental factors. Medical care and our genetics accounts for maybe 25 to 30%, depending on which study you read. But the vast majority of the determinants of health are social, behavioral, and environmental. And yet in the past, in the United States, we've done relatively little to address the big picture of health. We've done relatively little to address and tackle the social, behavioral, environmental issues that are so challenging. I think, and I know that there are many panels today and discussions today that are going to address these problems, but I think to me that's one of the most remarkably exciting aspects of the application of AI to health and healthcare delivery, is the opportunity to democratize knowledge and technology, and the opportunity to address social, behavioral, environmental factors in the ways that have been so vexing in the past. And then finally, and in closing, I want to, there are so many quotes I love from Abraham, but this one in particular stands out. I believe it came from an interview he did with the New York Times a few years ago. And that is, the goal of technology in general, AI in specific, in health and healthcare, should be that high tech will enable high touch. And we must never forget that. In fact, oftentimes I think we're asked, well, all the technology in medicine, isn't that going to further distance us as healthcare providers from our patients? Well, I sure hope not. And I think, and the vision that Abraham has outlined and others, is that if everything goes the way it should, high tech should be able to bring us back in better contact with our patients and enable us to interact with them in ways that have been challenging in the past. We've gone through a period where technology, the electronic health record in specific, has really served as a separation, a barrier, in some cases a firewall between us and as healthcare providers and our patients. And nothing is more distressing, and Abraham's written eloquently about this, than going in to see a healthcare provider and having that healthcare provider typing at a computer screen rather than looking at us in the eye as a patient. And technology should be able to improve that. Thank you all for being here. Abraham, Sanu, thank you for organizing the conference. To our CME team that put together this, what is one of the largest CME events we've ever had, and look forward to a really exciting day. Thank you.